nuggets or just some advice that I have learned along the way. My name is Nick Scott, and I am going to be your host today. And as I do every single Wednesday, I am going to be simulcasting both on Facebook and on Instagram. So I am going to bring in the Instagram crew right now. Hello, Instagram. Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday, where I pop in on your timeline for just a few minutes to share a piece of wisdom, some gold nuggets, or some advice that I've learned along my personal branding journey, my entrepreneurship journey, or just this journey called life. My name is Nick Scott, and I will be your host today on Wisdom Wednesday. Hello, Corinne Joyce. Thanks for joining. I see you, Triple Access Media PR. Thanks for joining. Nora Good Dev. Thanks for joining. Tamaya K. Thanks for joining. Instagram is in the building. Y'all, Instagram always shows me so much love. Thanks so much for joining me for this week's episode of Wisdom Wednesday. I am going to this piece of wisdom is something that can be applied to all three of the areas that I said that I talk about. It can be applied to your personal branding journey. It can be applied to your entrepreneurship journey, or it can be applied to your journey called life. And that piece of wisdom, that piece of advice, that piece of knowledge, that nugget that I'm giving you today is for you to know when to quit. Know when to quit. Hello, Melanie Renee Cook. Thanks for joining. Know when to quit. So I recently read the book by Seth Godin titled The Dip. And The Dip is all about knowing when to quit and knowing when to stick. Hello, Sheer here. Thanks for joining. And that book is a very quick read. And it literally outlines a process for you to know when you should stick to something and when you should quit something. Now, the advice that I'm going to give you here today is not a spoiler for the book, The Dip by Seth Godin. These are just two tips. I just have two tips that I have for you to know when to quit based off of my own experience, right? Many of you know that I got my start in social media and on the internet and in digital marketing as a YouTube personality. I was a natural hair YouTuber. Hello, be empowered. Thanks for joining. I see you, Belly47. Thanks for joining. I was a natural hair influencer, a natural hair guru, a natural hair vlogger, whatever you wanted to call it, that's what I did. And I spent a lot of time and a lot of hours building my audience once I realized that was an actual thing on YouTube. And that's what I did. To this day, I have millions and millions of video views, and people still watch my videos to this day. So I had no formal social media background. I had no degree in social media, but I was able to take that experience that I learned through teaching myself how to produce and edit and create and record videos, take that experience that I self-taught. Hey, Soror! 80 Pounds of Journey, thanks for joining. I was able to take that experience and that knowledge and leverage that into an actual career in social media, right? So we talked about two different things, two different ways I was branding myself, right? I was a natural hair influencer, a natural hair YouTuber, and then I was a traditional corporate professional in the world of social media. And now I teach personal branding. So how did I get to this point, right? Because I'm the biggest preacher on saying preacher. Well, I'm not an actual preacher, but the biggest advice that I give my clients, my students, and anybody that comes in contact with me, every single post on Instagram, every single video live that I go on, I'm telling you to stay in your lane. I'm telling you to niche down. I'm telling you to be focused. I'm telling you all over the place. And now in this piece of wisdom, I'm telling you to know when to quit. right? So you need to stay focused. You need to stay in your lane. You need to choose a niche until it's not until it's not. Okay? Until it's not. So stick with it until it's not meant to be stuck with anymore. So, but how do you know that? Hello, Simpat. Thanks for joining. How do you know when it's not meant to be stuck to anymore? How do you know when it is time to change lanes? How did I know that it was time for me to move from being a natural hair influencer and into a social media professional and now a personal brand expert? Oh, and by the way, I did the YouTube thing and the social media thing at the same time for a lot of years. So you could do that too. I don't recommend it because it doesn't work, right? We need to choose a niche and we need to stick to it, right? And that's what I'm advising you to do until it's time for you not to stick to it. So how do you know? Well, the first piece of advice that I have for you to know that it might be time for you to quit this effort that you're doing, whether it's in your personal brand journey, whether it is in your business journey, whether it is something going on in your life, the first signal that needs to, that the first indication that you have is that it no longer serves you. It no longer serves you. If it is not serving you, if it does not get you excited anymore, if it's not something that you don't look forward to doing every single day, then it might be time for you to reevaluate and think about what you're doing with that thing. And that's whether it's your personal brand, that's whether it's in your business or your profession, and that's whether it's just something going on in your life. Does it still serve you? And I can't tell you what the metrics or the thresholds are to determine whether or not something serves you. You know what that feels like and what that looks like, right? I love, to this day, natural hair. I love natural hair. I love, hello Stevie to the Knicks. Thanks for joining. I love inspiring women and encouraging them to embrace who they are naturally. I love that stuff. It still gets me excited. So then the question is, well, why aren't you doing that anymore? Well, the answer to that question is, and this is the second indicator, is does it still serve your audience? And I did not feel like I had any more to contribute in the area of natural hair to that audience. Like I had given everything I had, to the extent that I started diversifying my content and alienating my core audience. I was no longer serving my audience. My audience was no longer getting value from the content that I was creating, right? So if you get to the point where you're like, okay, I have exhausted every avenue with this thing. Like I have tried everything. I have given my all to this thing. What else do I have to give? You know, the saying, quit while you're ahead or step away while you're winning. That's a real thing, right? Like don't continue to force something or to change something into something else that it's not supposed to be. Right? Like, don't force that. That was a huge mistake that I made with my influencer days, is that I did start to get a little bored and I felt as if my audience needed more, and I began to alienate those core folks, and that's not what you want to do, right? So the two indicators, if it no longer serves you, then it might be time for you to quit. If it no longer serves your audience, then it might be time for you to quit. And you know if it no longer serves your audience because your metrics will tell you. Like I said that I couldn't give you a threshold or a metric to measure like, does this serve me? I mean, you have to get deep and figure that out for yourself. But in terms of, does it serve my audience? Your metrics will tell you that. And let's be clear, if you have some real ride or die folks, and if you've been doing whatever you're doing for any amount of time, your audience members will tell you themselves that this is not serving me. So it might be time for you to quit. And when I say quit, I don't mean completely alienate and abandon what you've built, okay? That's not what I mean. I mean leverage all of the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you have acquired with whatever it is that you're doing, and take that experience with you and use it as a springboard or a launching pad into something that aligns with what you've already been doing, right? So at the beginning of this broadcast, and if you are just joining, make sure that you catch the replay. I did talk about my journey into becoming a personal brand coach. So I was able to take all of the knowledge, skills, and abilities that I had learned through being a YouTube influencer and parlay that into getting a real job with no degree and no professional experience in that field. I was able to do that, right? I didn't completely alienate all of the things that I learned and all the experience that I had gained from being a YouTube personality. I didn't just, be like, oh, I'm done with that, I'm just going to put that to the side. No, I leveraged that. Y'all. Y'all know I love my definitions. I leveraged all of that experience, all of that knowledge, all of those skills into a traditional job where I was able to even further hone and perfect what I was already doing and get a regular paycheck for it and some benefits, right? So that's what I was able to do. And then from there, I took all those skills, all that knowledge, everything that I learned from being a social media influencer and a professional social media manager, and I meshed those things together. And now I'm using my skills, my knowledge, and my abilities as a personal brand coach. And that's what I do. I teach people how to grow their personal brands through social media, through video, through speaking, through all of the channels that I have been immersed in for the past decade or so, right? So all of that stuff, that foundation that I built on YouTube, all of that stuff, the foundation that you're building right now with your personal brand and your business, all of those things aren't always meant for you to stick to in that capacity for the rest of your life. Like, those days are over. Like, we're no longer staying at jobs for 40 years. Like, the world is evolving way too quickly for that. And you as a woman, you as a man, you as a human, you should be evolving quickly too. And with that quick evolution requires a quick pivot, right? It requires quick decisions. It requires you to be able to recognize, first of all, that you can take everything that you've been doing and leverage it. Take everything that you're doing and leveraging it, okay? So this week's piece of wisdom, again, is for you to know when to quit. And I'm going to say it one more time. When I say quit, I don't mean completely abandon everything that you're doing, because that would be a waste of time and a waste of energy and a waste of money. And that is not what I'm teaching. That is not what I teach. I teach, stay in your lane, choose your niche, stick to it. But when that niche no longer serves you or serves your audience, it might be time for you to make one of those quick pivots, to make some quick decisions and decide how can you leverage all of that experience that you have into something new, but not brand new, right? It's still related. Okay. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Because I think I've made my point. Know when to quit. That is today's piece of wisdom. And I want to thank y'all for rocking with me today. If you are just joining, make sure that you watch the replay. If you are watching this on the replay, make sure that you tag somebody or share this video, because it is imperative that you understand, just like the book that I talked about at the beginning of this video, just like that book teaches you, know when to stick and know when to quit. We have to know these things if we are going to grow our personal brands, if we are going to make the most impact that we can make with our audiences. Simpat says yes. If we're going to make the most impact that we can with our audiences, we have to know when to stick and when to quit. Okay? So thank you again for rocking with me on this week's Wisdom Wednesday. My name is Nick Scott. I am a personal brand coach. And as you learned today, my journey was not straight. It wasn't a straight journey, but it is a journey. And I hope that you found this week's piece of wisdom helpful. And I will be back at y'all in the next one. All right. Bye.